never did do that.
Right here.
What?
What?
What? No.
Huh?
He's got it. We're live right now.
Hmm?
Okay. I'm waiting on the button. Here's the button. All right. So we're gonna share. We're not doing that tonight. We canceled. We're holding off on that one.
That wasn't it. That wasn't.
Hey, you. Put your headphones on.
I will get there in a second.
All right.
I do things a little bit differently than you do.
Share. I'm sharing to a timeline.
Okay, my headphones are on, Your Highness.
Good job. Wow. No, Sharon. No, I want to share on a friend's timeline.
What's up, y'all? This is Pigeon John over here with the shaved mustache looking all fresh and fish. Banana Republic, homeboy. Representing. You are tuned in now to
Moon Garden Media
podcast with my big homeboy,
Steve Bader.
Steve Bader.
Moon Man back there. Well done.
Let's share it for the Moon Man.
Thanks, Moon Man.
Whoa, it's the bomb, homeboy.
Wow.
I like
I
that.
don't know what just happened.
That's pretty sweet.
Hey, you been watching the Olympics?
Yes, sir. Watch some curling this afternoon.
Curling.
Curling.
We love our curling.
We do.
The Olympics to me are all just a warm up until you get the bobsled.
Right.
I'm all about the bobsled.
Bobsledding is fun.
No, you were enjoying that ice dancing the other
Whoa. Whoa.
She said ice.
Whoa.
She said ice dancing.
Wow. Hey, to each their own. You want to watch ice dancing? Be my guest. You were not alone.
Hey, Kate made her debut.
I did see that.
I thought she did good.
I think she did a wonderful job.
I think Kate's debut was better than Fergie's anthem.
Wow, really?
Whoa, I can't believe you're going to compare the two. Ouch.
Did you watch the All-Star game?
Yes.
Let's get to another topic.
Oh, I will say that ranks probably as one of the worst that I've ever seen.
What? You talking about the
Fergie's.
anthem or the All-Star game?
Fergie's.
Oh, okay.
The All-Star game was fantastic.
Well, hold on. We were supposed to solicit Moon Man's opinion on this.
Can we get your opinion there?
You got an opinion?
He gives it a
Two
thumbs up.
And hold on. He knocked over.
He knocked over our fans.
Fix the people. Help me.
Help fix the people.
Fix the people. You got it? You got it. Oh, man.
Wow.
Anyway, so why'd you like it, Moon Man?
Why'd you hate it?
I liked her attempt at trying to be cool, but at the same time, it was just a little too much. I'll say it the same way that Wingo and Golick did. She sexified the anthem.
I didn't see it that way.
Well, how'd you see it?
She made it bluesy.
Right.
She tried to make.
She tried her own.
I'd say bluesy.
But she done a good anthem before previously, right?
I've never seen her perform an anthem.
Hey, guys, we got watchers now. We got to do a show.
No, let's
do a show.
Let's do a show.
Let's do a show.
We've got a great show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to 330 to Go. I'm your host, Hank Forrester, coming to you live from Stakeout Studios overlooking the rolling plains of Hardesty Park. In tonight's episode, we take a look at the role that sports plays in our society, a topic that was suggested to us by our audience. We have several coaches that are lined up to call in tonight, and in addition, we're going to be talking about the state of the Cavs. But before we do that, we're once again joined by the golden tones of Roddy Voorhees.
How you doing, Hank? Did you miss me? Guess not.
Sound of crickets.
No, there they are. Better late than
Yeah,
never.
we missed you, Roddy. We're glad to have you back.
It's good to be back.
All right, what do you got?
Tonight's episode
is brought to us by His and Hers Wedding and Party Service. Bridal show season has passed, and now it's time to start making those decisions for your special day. Contact them today before your date is booked. There are still some dates available for 2018.
It's all about the hers.
It's all about the hers.
She's something special.
She filled in quite nicely.
That's right. All right, folks. Once again, we got 2 topics for you tonight. We're coming at you live, and we're talking about sports in society. That's the role that sports plays, and this is a viewer-suggested topic. And the question is, does sports unify us or does it divide us? At the end of this episode, we'll also be talking about Cavs basketball as well and the recent trade and how that's affected the team. So right now we're gonna dive into this topic, and I'm gonna go over some of the broad. We're gonna do a broad brushstroke of the topic, and then we'll call some coaches. We got some coaches lined up. All right. So the first thing is, when sports changes is the moment that you start keeping score. Because once you start keeping score, it's no longer about participation. It's then about winning or losing.
Correct.
I think was it Herm Edwards? Who was
You play to win the game.
you play to win the game, right? So
Herm Edwards.
as soon as that changes, it changes the whole dynamic of sports as it is, right?
Mhm.
So we're going to break this down to three. I'm losing the mic. You good? We're losing the mic. Okay. We're going to break this down to 3 separate topics, and that's kids sports, college sports, and adult sports. Okay.
Got it.
Now, kids sports, there's two topics there, right? There's recreational, and then there's pay to play.
You're right.
Pay to play being as you get older into travel leagues and the AAU and that kind of thing. Okay?
Right.
College sports is where you play for a scholarship, and that scholarship pays for your education. So as a result, your sports is your work per se. So
Right.
It's your job. And then with adult sports, of course, that's professional, and that's where they get paid to play, and we pay them to play.
Wait, they get paid to play.
They get paid to play,
I
and
did
we
not know
pay
that.
to go see them. Right?
We do.
So that's how those get broken down. Okay. Then the mic keeps cutting out on me. Then in addition to that, you good? In addition to that, the team sports versus the individual sports as well, right? Because team sports, you've got your footballs, you got your hockeys, you got your basketballs, soccer, okay. But then your individual sports, you can say that track is a team and individual sport, right?
Right.
But then you got your ping pongs and your badmintons and your individual, golf, tennis. Those are more of the individual side, right? So, and then in addition to that, on top of that, we got another layer, and that's the nationalized sports. That's what we've got going on right now with the Olympics. Okay,
Curling.
Curling. Go Team USA in the curling
And the bobsled.
Bobsled. Well, I always say, right, we talked about it earlier, the Olympics begins for me with the bobsled, right? But I mean, the World Cup, the Olympics, the point is it allegedly unifies you behind your country. So you get the chance, USA, right?
Right.
So the question is, and I'll talk to you about this first. What sports did you play growing up?
I played soccer as a little kid. I played a little bit of baseball, basketball for the most part, and then I dabbled in a little football.
Okay. And for me, I played basketball casually, sometimes more seriously. It depends on what team I was on. But I played soccer I think I started soccer when I was 6. It was mostly prescribed by my doctor. I had pneumonia multiple times as a kid. So my doctor was like, he needs to play a sport. And I was little, right? He needs to play a sport where he runs around a lot. And because I was small, my parents put me in soccer. They're like, oh, that's safe. Right. So then I played soccer roughly for 35 years competitively. And that's, I earned a college scholarship with that, played at Ashland University. So, I mean, point being, I learned a lot through playing sports. To me, sports was my grades were better while I was playing in season than they were when I wasn't, because of study tables and because of being a part of that team that you had to maintain that GPA and be eligible, right? So the next question is, it's come up recently, right? And that's the voice of professional athletes in society, and just the whole shut up and dribble concept that's been a big topic on ESPN this week. And to me, I'll ask you your take first, because I don't want to impose my opinion on you. What's your thought process?
You won't pose your opinion on me. I'm pretty sure about that.
What's your thought process
about the shut up and dribble, or
the athletes having a voice in society?
Are they not allowed?
Just like anybody else, right?
They're athletes. There are people that look up to them, and I think if their points are valid, we listen. We have the right to ignore them. We have the right to follow them. We have the right to jump on board with them and follow them. I see nothing wrong with athletes having a voice in society because they are superstars. They're athletes. I think it's.
And if we look at history, right?
Right.
This all started, I would say, with Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens was the first to really use his athletic platform to hold a fist up in the air and say, "Hey, yeah, I just beat all you guys."
Right.
Okay. And then I would say the next in that lineage would be Muhammad Ali.
He was the greatest talker.
Yeah.
Of
So
all time.
and you can follow that lineage up, and at that point, once Muhammad Ali gave that voice, then there's been multiple different athletes in a wide variety of directions that have all used their voice
Right.
and have used it for good, right? I mean, look at what J.J. Watt just did for the hurricane victims.
But to piggyback back on Muhammad, I think Muhammad Ali taught us it's okay to be overly confident. It's okay to be cocky, if you will, because he backed it up.
Yeah, he did. And so the point is, folks, that when I look at people that use their platform, like right here we are. We're just two dudes from Akron using our platform to share an opinion and to share an experience with you, right? I don't in any way hold it against athletes or actors or anybody else for that matter for sharing their opinion
Or me.
when they are on the stage. I mean, if you really look at it, our president really didn't have that much of a political background before he entered politics.
Correct.
So from that standpoint, I'm not going to hold it against anybody to get involved with an opinion in regards to that. So, I mean, from that standpoint, I was really shocked at the whole shut up and dribble concept. And it is what it is, but moving on. What are some of your horror stories and some of your success stories with sports that you've experienced personally?
I love sports. Anybody that knows me, my family, friends, sports has been a huge part of my life just because it was something that was easy to follow. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing multiple sports. I think sports teaches us a lot. It teaches us teamwork. It teaches us about our confidence and the things that we're capable of and the fact that it is a team sport for the most part. And you need a team in order to succeed. I don't know, man. I just had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing sports growing up. It was a way to take the cares of the world and just kind of push them aside for a while. I mean, I can remember hours and hours and hours just shooting hoops in my driveway as a kid, just because it was fun, being able to reenact, different basketball events that had taken place, and it was just fun. It not only did it make me better, but
and each sport is different, whether it be
Right.
individual, whether it be team. And from a team sports standpoint, to me, there are so many life lessons that you learn from playing sports. And you can always tell when you get older, people that have played sports versus people that have not.
Right.
There's just a different thought process. Okay. I've had a wonderful time playing sports throughout the course of my life. And the thing is, here's what's interesting. So my kids growing up, I've always made it a point to give them an opportunity to do whatever it is that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That really drives me a little bit crazy at times. We doing all right? Everything all right?
You're all good.
Okay. It drives me crazy at times because
pay no attention.
I want my kids to be good soccer players.
Right.
From the time that they were born, I'm like, okay, well, this is what my kid's going to do. All right.
Okay.
We literally forced Jillian to play soccer. We forced her to play soccer. And she was the goalie that would pick the grass and look around and watch the ducks fly over. Okay.
Okay.
So that drove me crazy. And then with Sierra, I'm like, I wanted to be a soccer player. I wanted to be a soccer player. And Kate is like, no, she's a dancer. So I've had to adjust my I've had to
Oh, jeez.
I've had to adjust. I've had to adjust.
Yeah,
I just gotta. Well, I had to adjust my thought process to say, okay, well, she's not going to play soccer. She's going to be a dancer, right? And then with Wyatt, it was okay. Well, he's a basketball player-ish, but he's more of the casual. I'm going to run up and down and get my exercise basketball player. So, so far, I'm down to one. I got one chance. I got one chance left. The greatest soccer player left.
And one opportunity.
So now here we are with sports, and you see the viewership.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of it's going up, a lot of it's going down, based on the political climate that we're dealing with. Okay?
Right.
Where do you see things going in the future right now for our current sports climate?
I think it's going to stay. I think it's going to stay about the same. People value people value opinions, and I think with the NFL suffered tremendously this year. Viewership was way down. Attendance at games was way down. That's not simply in Cleveland when our team doesn't win a single game, but
gave us the opportunity to cover the parade, though.
it did. It absolutely did. It opened a door for us. But to me, I'll be honest, I was one of those people that was like, oh, kneeling during the anthem, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to watch it. I still watch games.
Yeah.
Because it's football. It's fun to watch.
Right.
Even if it's just background noise. But I think it's going to stay the same. I think it will.
One of the things that got brought up to me yesterday when I brought up the show is to the person that suggested that we do this show.
Okay.
He said, I was at a game. It was IHM versus St. V, and they took a picture of the scoreboard, and they showed the crowd in the scoreboard picture.
Okay.
And when they did that, they posted it on Facebook, and the comment was, I think IHM won like 50-25. It was like a total blowout. And the comment was, look at all the faces of the sad St. V fans, or something to that effect. Okay. That, to me, of course, is where sports crosses the line. And we see this regularly in little kid sports.
A little over the top.
So as a result, that was why we ended up doing this show tonight. So what we're going to do, folks, go ahead and hit share right now, if you would. For those of you that are out there watching, we are going to be calling 3 different coaches around the country. We've got some folks lined up. They're also friends of mine as well. We're going to call someone from the West Virginia-Ohio border. We're going to call someone down in Florida, and we're going to call someone down in Texas. So we're taking our show bigger than it normally is, and we're going to get perspectives from people from around the country in regards to what they experience with youth sports and with being a parent and with being a coach. All right, so right now we're going to make our first call. I think we're right on time here, or just behind time. We're going to be calling Michael. So here we go. Hopefully he picks up.
Hello.
Michael, this is Hank and Roddy. You're on 330 to go.
How are you tonight?
How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful. Just sitting here hanging out with my 3-year-old, and she's watching some TV, and I was waiting for your phone call. So, doing well, my friend.
Three-year-olds are fun.
Lots of fun.
And we were just talking about that in terms of toddler proofing and baby proofing, how we do it for kid 1, but we never do it for the rest.
I mean, we bubble wrap them and put helmets on them at the beginning, and then by the last one, we're like,
Yeah, it's like whatever. All right, so Mike, thanks for joining us tonight. You and I, we go way back. I appreciate you being on the show, and it's funny because you and I have been in communication for years and years and years, but I don't think we've physically talked on the phone in like at least 6 or 7 years.
I believe that's probably very accurate, yes. At the last time I was in training for my job up towards Akron.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while.
All right, so thanks for being on the show. So right now, I think I had emailed you a little bit of what we're doing tonight. The goal is to share your experience with our audience in regards to sports in America, sports in society, both from the perspective of as a coach and as a parent, or either or. It's entirely up to you which direction you want to go, and we'll just kind of follow your lead. But the goal is to figure out where we are with sports in terms of its role right now in America. So the floor is yours. We're going to listen and shut up, which is hard for me to do, and then we'll intervene when it's time. Okay.
Well, I mean, from a coach's perspective, now I've only done Little League for the last 2 years. I've been a Pinto coach. As far as that's concerned, it's kind of, I believe every parent, from my perspective, thinks their kid's an all-star. And, like, they all want their kids to be that kid on the field. And from, my perspective, it's all about winning for them. And my perspective as a coach, it really never was. It was about teaching them the fundamentals so that we could get there, so that we could, steer in that direction, get going in the right direction, and have our kids be successful and actually learn the game of baseball. I don't know, from seeing where the parents are and their mindset, I feel like social media has a lot to do with that. I feel like the need for them to have everything front and center has a lot to do with that. And my feeling on that is that, it's being a Pinto coach, it was circle ball. They would have the kids hit and run, and you have to get the ball back to the circle. And you weren't learning to, like, throw it to first base, throw it to second base, do the double plays, things of that perspective. That really bothered me from a coach's perspective, because it takes away from back when we were kids, when we were playing baseball. They taught us the actual fundamentals, and nobody worried about who got hurt. They did. They took care of us, but at the same time, they knew that, they could dust us off, get us up, and encourage us to just be better, do better, and be greater than we were yesterday. I think a lot of that has gone away over time, but I feel like that is kind of society beating us down with that, with being the front runner, having so many people liking your status, or, you know what I mean? Like, just your kids on a pedestal and in the forefront.
Well, just to clarify, you said you called it Pinto?
Yes, Pinto baseball. So that's 5 and 6 year olds.
Okay, so is it like T-ball?
It's not T-ball. It's coach pitch.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a step above T-ball. So that's basically what we did. I would pitch to the kids, and they would hit and run the bases and all that other stuff. Now, we weren't allowed to touch the ball once it was in play, but it was constantly get the ball back to the pitcher. Don't teach them how to throw to first, second, third. Hit the cutoff man the right way. Just get it back to the circle. We put a circle around the pitcher's mound, and that's where they wanted the ball to go.
We had Wyatt play T-ball. Wyatt played T-ball for one season or two. You remember? I think it was two. It was two seasons. I think he played 2 years of T-ball, and if I remember correctly, they would hit the ball, and then they tried to throw to first, but if it didn't succeed, then it went back to the pitcher's mound. But the way that worked, where there were no outs. So what happened was you'd have to have the whole team bat. So the whole team would do one rotation, and that was half an inning.
Right.
But okay, so explain? Let's dive in this deeper, right? And this is all part of the discussion. This is why we ended up doing the show tonight. How do the parents behave on the sidelines? How what are some of the comments they make, and how are they supporting their kids, or how are they causing their kids additional stress?
I believe, from being on the field, one of my major rules was when they're out on the field, they're my kids. We tell them, what they need to be doing. They need to be listening to us. Now, from the sidelines and from the parents' perspective, once these games start, it was constantly, yelling at little Johnny while he's out on the field, and, not listening to the coach so much and saying, hey, throw it to first, or get it to second, or throw it back into the pitcher, or pay attention, or, because some kids at that age range, they look out in the outfield, or they'll look and see who's around as opposed to actually what's going on the field, which, that's our job to maintain, and not the parents from the sideline. And then they would get offended if we would correct their child out on the field. So, those are some of the issues that I came up with and saw as I was coaching. And, then there were some coaches who were all about winning, and they were stacking teams, and it was a whole thing. So,
what are some of the success stories that you've experienced as a coach?
I'll tell you what, the kids, when I did teach them, one or two basic things about baseball, and they had those aha moments, that was everything to me. Being a dad with as many kids as I have, watching them grow and learn and develop has been one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And then to take that onto the field and to help these kids who, some of the kids, I don't want to say that, their parents aren't doing their job, but it was a confidence thing, and it was teaching them how to be confident, how to do the right things, and how to stand up as young men, and learn how to act as gentlemen while they were out on the field. I think those are the most important things when you're a coach, is growing them and developing them to be better people than they were when you started with them at the beginning of April. So by the end of June, when the baseball season was over, that was my biggest goal, was to make sure that those young men learned how to be young men, learn how to be gentlemen, learn sportsmanship, and how to actually be a team and root for each other. There was one kid in particular that his name was Jace, and the young man, he struggled a lot. He had issues not only on the field but off the field. In school, he was a disciplinary issue. And I took that kid and I kind of helped mold him into learning and having those aha moments. And he, at the beginning of the season, didn't know where second base was. By the end of that season, I had developed him to the point where he actually made the all-star team in his first year. And I thought that was a pretty amazing accomplishment. So for me, that was probably one of the biggest things that I personally helped with that growth and development with that young man, and it was an amazing experience.
Where do you think we're going? We talked briefly about the shut up and dribble, right? I don't know if you had tuned in yet, but where do you hold an athlete's viewpoint? Obviously, you're not from here. We're in LeBron country. When someone speaks out on issues that are other than sports related, what's your take on that? How do you feel about that?
Man, that is that's kind of a hairy subject for me. I think that you should keep sports on the field, and all that other stuff you can do when you're not the center of attention. When all that stuff was going down with the NFL and, standing or kneeling or whatever they were doing, I kind of steered away from all of that. And I don't believe that, you stand up for what you believe, absolutely 100%, but there's a time and place for it. So for me, that's where I'm at. I think that you should just keep that stuff off the field, play ball, and, do your job. Especially the NBA, the NFL, all those guys get paid millions and millions of dollars a year. Keep it off the field and keep it off the court.
And again, I'm not putting you on the spot here.
Sure.
But I guess the question then is, we as Facebook users think that it's our right to just vomit our opinion everywhere. so how I guess the question is, how does that differentiate from someone who actually has a platform with money that can make a difference? I don't know. We don't know what to do with it, right? Because we all have different opinions and we all try and express them, and the question is, when and where is the proper format?
And that's hard because all you got to do is click a few buttons and say a few words. And I think that we need to hold ourselves accountable. I think accountability is the biggest thing, and not reacting on emotion. So if something like really major happens that just fires you up, take that time and don't post right away, or write it all down and read it and make sure that it makes sense and ask somebody else. You know what I mean? I mean, it's hard to differentiate. I don't know. I guess if you've got the national platform, it's a lot easier to get your word out. But I mean, that's society as a whole right now, isn't it? We all want people to, like I said earlier, look at our status and like our pages and like what we're doing. Like, I've got my own personal blog that I want 1 million people to read because I think that I have something to say and I have something that I can add value to their lives. But, I'm very particular about what I write. I'm very particular about what I post. But it doesn't make it any easier. I mean, it bothers me. Social media in general bothers me, especially with, say, you don't even read the news article. Like, you see just the title of it, or just the how they catch you, and you get irate, and you don't even read the whole article, and then you just start posting all these things. Like, you really have to take the time to do the research, hold yourself accountable, and make sure that you're not reacting off of emotion, but actually something that's like informed, that you've actually done the research, you've actually done the reading, and know that when it all comes out in the wash, that, you're talking about things that A, you know about, and B, that, other people can relate to and maybe gain some value from. But again, it doesn't make it any easier, though.
I got one last question for you.
Sure.
As a coach, what was your favorite ever moment?
My favorite ever moment was I was out in the outfield, and, because in Pinto League, 2 coaches stand in the outfield when your team's on the field. And there was this little young gentleman named Luca who was on third base, and it was his first year playing. He was super excited to be there. They hit a pop fly, and man, that thing, I swear, it went 2 million miles in the air, and it came down, and he caught it in his glove, and he jumped up and down and started to giggle, and like everybody in the crowd was like really into it because the young man was so excited, but he didn't know what to do with the ball, and he started shaking. And we had to tell him, get it back to the pitcher, because the kid was already at first, because it was there was a person on first, he was running the second, the kid ran back to first base. But Luca was so excited that he caught the ball that he didn't know what to do, but his excitement and that, oh my gosh, I made my first big catch and it was a really big deal, that was everything to me.
That's classic.
Probably my most exciting moment, yeah.
That's classic. All right, well, Mike, thanks for being on with us tonight. What happens is once the show is processed, it stays up, and and that way you can share it with folks. So feel free to share it later on, okay?
Awesome, absolutely will, brother.
Hey, thanks for being on. You take care now.
You too. We'll see you later.
All right. That was Michael, everybody. He lives right on the Ohio-West Virginia border, and there's no time. We're already moving on to our next guest. This time, I'm like, if you want to interview him,
absolutely.
That way, I think it'll work where you just do the thing, and I'll just be quiet, right?
Yeah, right.
You just turn the mic off or up, his mic, and I'll just be quiet. That way he can talk. And
his mic up and he'll talk into his mic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to sound crazy. Right?
Well, no, he can just lean over then. All right. Anyway, here we go. We're calling Florida. Here we go. We're doing it live.
We'll do it live.
All right.
We'll do it live.
I haven't talked to Mike in forever on the phone, and at least with Billy, I called him during the hurricane. I called Billy during the hurricanes, so yeah, I'll pick up.
It should pick up.
Hello?
Billy Ray Shea, how are you?
Good. Yourself?
This is Hank and Roddy. You're live on 330 to go right now. Calling you from Ohio, so we're so excited to be on the phone with Florida.
It's beautiful down here. You guys love it.
That's not cool.
No, that's not how you start off.
Hey, did you hear what he did to us, Moon Man? He said it's beautiful down in Florida. We were love it. That's not okay.
Wait, no, there you go.
All right. So once again, folks, just to recap, we just got off the phone with Mike. Now we're calling Bill down in Florida. So, Bill, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let Roddy interview you because I talk too much. Okay,
he does.
So, again, I had sent you some of the topics that we're covering tonight. So I'm going to be quiet. And I'm going to let Roddy go.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. So, Billy, if you don't mind, why don't you tell us what you do?
Well, I'm a youth soccer coach. I coach a rec team for our club here in town. I coach a U15 boys team, and our club is the Florida Elite Soccer Academy. We are the largest soccer club in Florida. We have over 3,000 players in our program.
Okay, so you obviously work with older children.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is a godsend.
How so? What do you mean?
Oh, when you hear of all the problems with youth sports, it's the younger ages. And being a coach, this is my 5th or 6th season coaching, or year coaching. So occasionally, before every season, we have a coaches meeting, and they spend a lot of it going over parent involvement and how they're not allowed on the field during practices or games, and they need to make sure they sit on the opposite side of the field. And it's gotten to the point now that our coaches, to make sure that they know who's on the fields working with the kids, we have bright orange coaching shirts, and we now have lanyards we have to wear that signify that we've had the appropriate background checks, because we all have to be fingerprinted, and they run a thorough background check to make sure we are appropriate to be able to be around children. And at the young ages, it can be really, I've seen it because I've had to come over and assist some of the refs in some of the lower games occasionally. And younger parents can be a little more aggressive, I guess, a little more vocal. And also the referees that get at the younger ages are a little younger, a little greener. And I mean, unfortunately, I've seen parents cause refs to break down in tears during games. It's just crazy what can happen at the younger ages. Joyfully, at the older ages, don't have to deal with any of that. And also at the younger ages, our club doesn't officially keep score till they hit U12. So at the younger ages, there really isn't an official score kept or posted anywhere. Once they get to U12, it's the first time they start playing on big boy fields or the regulation soccer fields that most of us are used to. And also we travel and play some other clubs in the area. There's a little bit of travel involved. Joyfully, it's not too bad for us in my age group. It's the first time they keep score. But unfortunately, at the younger ages, you can have very wide discrepancies in skill sets. I mean, our club has a program where kids can start having a soccer environment at 3 years old. Obviously, to call it soccer really isn't soccer, but it allows the kids to get out, start interacting, and start developing the skills that youth sports should be developing, which is teamwork, working with personal skills, and now having exercise and having fun, which is what youth sports is supposed to be.
Well, and to piggyback on top of that, Bill, what are some of the lessons that you feel sports are teaching your kids?
Interpersonal skills, how to react, how to interact with people. I mean, particularly in my age group, because I coach a rec team, so it's not the hyper-competitive kids. It's still pretty competitive, but it's not any of the select kids. I mean, these are kids that are not probably going to be playing in college, but so they have to deal with people from other schools. I mean, we're a large club, so we have, like on my team now, I've got 4 or 5 different high schools represented. So they get to know other people and get to interact. Also, they get to learn how to deal with diverse skill levels. I mean, I have some players that were on some of the upper level competitive teams that either burned out or got tired of the costs involved with that and just came back down to rec for the love of the game. So I've got some really good players. I've got some players that are not so good. So being able to work with that, and it's great seeing players interact with each other and help raise everyone up. Because when you're on a team, you're only as good as your weakest link. So it helps develop that, and that's something that is a really important life lesson, I feel.
How do you feel that sports are being consumed by people these days? The general populace, where do you feel sports are fitting into society right now?
That's an interesting conversation because it's definitely taken some different angles lately, particularly with LeBron and some of his comments and things like that that's come over lately. But I mean, athletes are role models, whether they want to be or not. Joyfully, I'm not saying joyfully, but a lot of them embrace that. Some don't, but athletes are people that our youth look up to, and it's something that, I mean, in sports are everywhere. I mean, almost every school has athletic programs. Everyone hopes to potentially get that scholarship to go play in college. And, I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, we're in the Olympic season now with the Winter Olympics going on, so it's everywhere.
What are some of the horror stories that you've experienced as a coach?
Well, personally, for myself, was one of my first years I was coaching when it was U12, which is the first time they were keeping score. I had an assistant coach who was new to soccer, and she got a little carried away during one of our games, which we were pretty handily beating the other team, and I had to tell her to step away from the bench because she got too excited, and the other team's goalie broke out into tears on the.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, that was the worst that I personally had to deal with involving my team, and the other things I've witnessed. I mean, I've had to step in with some of the younger age groups at times when parents have gotten crazy, and had to deal with like the one poor ref that broke down into tears after the game because the parents were berating her. And
Yeah, it's not good.
no, it's not good. And she made the right call. Parents didn't know it, which always amazes me. I mean, back when I was playing a few years ago, soccer was still relatively new and was starting to catch on. Now a lot of people and parents have been involved around the sport, so they should at least know the rules somewhat. But it was crazy.
All right, I'm going to ask you one last question, okay? As a coach, what's your favorite ever moment? Like, you always have the one moment that stands out. What's your favorite moment?
I have one player, God love him. He's been on my team for 3 seasons. The first time I ever met him, I mean, the age group I need, the players are required to have player passes. So I get a photo before I ever met him. And I almost made the mistake of asking his parents to update a more recent photo because he looked like he was 6. And then when I met him, that was an actual photo. The kid has got the biggest heart I've ever seen. Not a lick of athletic ability, but he would be the first player I would take on my team every time because he tries his heart out and gives his damnedest every time we play. And see that the other players also see that and appreciate that out of him. I mean, I have twin boys that are both on the team, and they're hyper competitive, way too competitive at times, and they would agree. They would take him in a heartbeat. So being able to see him grow and develop and gain some confidence to the point that he's the first player that has a nickname that's stuck over seasons, and we call him LK, which stands for Lady Killer, because when we practice with older girls teams, he's a magnet for the older girls.
Nice.
Being able to see him grow and mature.
Bill, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we're going to save it afterwards so you'll be able to download it or share it with your friends as well, okay?
All right. Well, you have a good day.
All right, take care, man. I appreciate it. Billy Ray Shea, everybody, out of Florida, youth soccer coach. So we've talked to a youth baseball coach now.
No, yep.
We've talked to a youth soccer coach.
Yep.
It only makes sense that we call a basketball coach, right? And we may as well call one from the biggest state of the union. Isn't it? Is Texas?
I think
biggest?
Texas is still the
Or
biggest.
is Alaska bigger?
Oh, no.
I think Alaska's, I don't know.
Everything's bigger in
Everything's
Texas.
bigger in Texas. So fact check on that one. So, Paul, if you're still out there listening, we're getting ready to call. I was supposed to text him in advance, but I'm not getting into all that. All right, here we go.
Guess what? Just answer your phone.
That's right. Here we go. We're calling Texas. That was a long drum roll.
Hello?
Is this Paul?
Yes, sir.
Paul, you are live on the air with Hank and Roddy. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How you guys doing?
We're living the dream.
Living the dream.
How's the great state?
Just living the dream.
How's the great state of Texas tonight?
Oh, the weather is absolutely terrible right now.
Okay, now hold on.
Rain,
Define your version of terrible.
I mean, the roads are probably going to freeze up, and instead of instead of salt trucks, we've got like 1 or 2 sand trucks that are going to come around and try to fix that problem for us.
Yes, well, we just had, it was set, what is it now, right? Is this on right now? It was 75 degrees yesterday in Ohio, and it's, 32 right now? so welcome to our world.
Turn of events.
Welcome to our world.
Horrible.
All right, so, Paul, we got, I'm going to let Roddy interview you, because just, huh? What? Yes, I will. Kate's over there causing me a ruckus. I talk too much. So, for the record, Paul would be my. It's not really half nephew. Paul's my nephew, so my half brother. My dad was married before, but so the point is, Paul. Yeah, so East family. Paul is
too complicated.
Paul is my brother's son, so that makes him my nephew. I talk to him once every 10 years or so on the phone, but we've kept close touch on Facebook, right? And I know, Paul, go ahead and give us your coaching resume so everybody knows who you are and what you do.
Okay, at the moment, I am a varsity basketball coach at a high school. We're a K through 12 charter school up in North Texas. I just finished my seventh season coaching. Not all high school. I think there's three years of junior high in there. So that's kind of where I'm standing right now.
All right, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let Roddy take over. You're up.
Thank you.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
You're positive?
I'm positive.
All right, Paul, my first question would be, what do you feel as a varsity coach? What do you think that varsity basketball, what does it teach the kids that play?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to try not to get too cliche. You know, you have all the same answers all the time. What we try to push, through our program to the kids is, first and foremost, we want the kids, we want them to, first off, experience the game. We want them, to become men as they do it. And, people say that kind of stuff, and I'm not sure they always know what we're talking about. When we say becoming men, I want the guys to look at me in the eyes when we're speaking to each other. Give me your word and plan on keeping it. Aside from that, we try to push a competitive nature constantly. We want them to always strive to get better. And we're at a charter school that really pushes academics, and so that's not only on the court but in the classroom as well. I hope I answered the question right there.
Well, I think you answered that. I mean, obviously, if you've paid attention to the professional sports with LeBron and the shut up and dribble, what do you think? What is your opinion on the voice of professional athletes?
Okay, so I've been listening, and I think I might have a different opinion than some of your other callers. I know that we're talking about LeBron and Miss Ingram. I forget her first name from Fox, I think.
Everybody forgets her name.
So LeBron says. I think, let me put it to you like this. Where our program is, what we tell the kids, we want them to be successful. I want them to be them. I want you to be you. We love you. We appreciate you, the way you are. I want to open as many doors through basketball and academics as possible. And let's pretend one of my kids, they hit it big. And, maybe not LeBron platform, but they get to the professional level and they have that platform. Now, we've been pushing that, being, you can do whatever you want, be you, since they were in junior high school. And so who am I to tell them once you get there how to use your platform? Well, we don't tell them, hey, you can be anyone you want, but when you're addressing people, outside of your small circles, you have to act a certain way. That's not what we call them. I hope that they act, with class and, respectfully, of course. But, to go back to LeBron, as far as, what he's saying, we all have that right. He's a U.S. citizen, just like you or I, and, we share our opinions on Facebook because that's our platform. Of course, he has something, he has, a bigger stage to operate on, and he can say whatever he wants to. I think with that said, the athletes do need to understand, when you say whatever you want to, or, you have an opinion, in this case, a political one, you have to understand if you're standing on one side, there's going to be some backlash from the other side, and you just need to take that in stride. It's kind of, that's why I'm at with that.
You can tell we're related.
What was your first clue?
We have the same opinion.
You do.
We do. How about that?
Somebody finally shares your opinion.
I'm not. I see Gus Foster's watching the show right now.
Okay.
So, now I'm sure I'd be curious to check his opinion on that one because Grandpa has a tendency to be a little jaded.
In the comment section, Grandpa.
All right. So next question. Go ahead.
Next question for you, Paul. Obviously, with everything that happened with the NFL and professional sports as well, where do you see things going in the future?
As far as
Well, as far as this whole shut up and dribble, the kneeling, like where do you think it'll stay the same? Do you think it's going to get better, worse?
As far as better or worse, I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I don't see it as good or bad. I just see it, like I said, it's the same thing as the LeBron scenario. It's people using their platform how they choose to use it. Now, again, like I said about LeBron, Colin Kaepernick, for example, he's going to exercise his rights however he chooses. But the backlash, obviously, being your professional career may plummet. I know other professionals are doing similar things, and they're not having repercussions the same way that Kaepernick is, and some might argue, those aren't actual repercussions. That's just, the owners determining, he's just not a quality, player in the NFL. I don't want to think about. But as far, I guess what you were saying, as far as it getting better or worse, I can see it trending one direction. Because obviously there are people exercising those rights, and they still have jobs. So I'm going to lean that direction for now until something else changes.
Well, that's very true. So obviously, with you being a coach, what are some of your horror stories from coaching?
Oh gosh, I've got plenty of horror stories. I've seen. So we're in a charter league up here. I've seen some wild stuff as far as how some other teams operate. I don't like throwing people under the bus. I've seen horrific injuries. I've gone through some pretty bad injuries in rehab. I think let's just keep it with me. And I don't know if this is so much a horror story as one of my just epic failures in the beginning of my coaching career. So I think I'm going to go with this one. My first ever away game as a high school varsity basketball coach. It was like our third game of the season. And mind you, I have to preface this by saying I was 25 at this time. And typically the coaches that we go up against are at like bare minimum at least 10 years older than I am. So, obviously for a while it took me a little bit to get over. I mean, there's there's kind of an intimidation thing with that. So our first away game, and we go, I'm not going to name the school or the team or anything like that, but we go up against a coach, and he's got to be like pushing 60. He's like the most stoic man ever. He's dressed to the nine. This guy looks like he's coaching in the NBA, and his team looks like super organized. And gosh, I've got to admit, like I was kind of shook by it a little bit. The big failure on my part is how I reacted to that coming in. I came in, I'm like, man, I've got to show him, like, I'm not just some young dude who's got thrown his job or whatever that'll be out by next year. I've got to show him my guys are prepared for anything. We can do whatever. So what ends up happening is, in our pregame, our game planning, and all of our timeouts, of course, I'm overcompensating with just ridiculous things that we've not touched on up to this point. Granted, it's the third game of the season. So just things we haven't talked about it all. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to run this and this, and we're going to show them what's up. And we go out there, and we just, we don't look the way that we're supposed to look. And we end up losing by maybe 20, 25 points that game. And I think my biggest failure right there was obviously that, and just not allowing the players an opportunity to really compete, the way that we'd planned up to that point. So I feel like I've learned from that. I'm going, moving forward, and that hasn't, not that exact same scenario, but that hasn't happened yet again. And so,
hey, Paul, my sixth-year coach and I ended up having a kid get killed in a car accident, and it was in preseason. So, of course, I galvanized the team, but at the same time, it was one of the worst things I've ever had to deal with as a coach. Have you ever had to deal with anything similar to that? And if so, how did you and your team handle it?
I'm really fortunate to say that we haven't experienced anything like that over here. We actually played against teams who I think what had happened was one of their sophomore starters ended up getting killed in I want to say some sort of four-wheeler accident. And they wanted to do a ceremony at home, and we try our best to be respectful and understand, but looking across the bench and kind of seeing what they're going through, because I guess it had just recently happened that week, and I spoke to their athletic director a little bit before, and they were talking about possibly calling the game, and we try to accommodate as much as possible, and saying, hey, if we need to do that, we totally understand. If we need to reschedule, we totally understand. Let us know what you guys want to do, and we're on board. And as the opposing team, I don't know much else that we can do to just pray for that team, pray for the family, and just I can't possibly imagine that would be.
It was tough, right? And it's something you hope that you never have to go through. All right, so
right.
Roddy's got another question for you.
So obviously, coaches have their all-time moment as a coach up to this point. Do you have what would your moment be?
My aha moment. If you're going to phrase the question like that, it's going to change my answer a little, because I planned for my most successful moment. But my aha moment, I think, is going to change that a little bit. And I think
you do both. Do both.
Okay. Well, let me do the successful one first, because I had this planned out already in my head. So
go for it.
So here's what happened. So I had this kid a couple years back, and he played for me his junior and his senior year. Loved the kid, great kid. Was popular among the entire school. Everybody loved the kid. He just had players that were just a little more talented than him in front of him, and so playing time was a little bit, a little bit more scarce for him. He saw spot minutes for his junior and senior year, but we got all the way to the end of the senior year, and he's not actually scored a basket as a varsity player yet. This year, his senior year, we were lucky enough to go on to the Charter State tournament. We lost in the third round and ended up playing for third place. We go up there, and we end up having a good game, and I think we're up 15, 20 points with 3 or 4 minutes to go, and I put him in. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm like, please score. We're calling all the plays for this kid. I'm like, you got to get in there and just get him to the free throw line or something here. We go all the way to 10 seconds left, and nothing. He shot maybe twice. We get to 10 seconds. We get the ball. We're up 15. He holds the ball because he knows that's what he's supposed to do. The respectful thing to do when you're up by that many. We hear people from the stands. We've got our crowd, and they're going, shoot it, shoot the ball. He's standing at half court with 2 seconds left, launches the ball, and it is nothing but net right after it just it almost touches the top of the gym floor, nothing but net, 3 points. The kid gets on the board for the first time, and it was just, our whole bench jumped on him, and everybody's on the floor, and it was this big scene. It was really a special moment for everybody.
And that's cool, right? And that's, and again, this will sound cliche, but that's why we do it. That's the point of sports, is that it's that moment of success. And for some people, it's a really big moment, and for some people, it's small. But the point is, that's the reason we do it, right?
Right.
So, all right. So he was going to follow up with what were we asking?
He was going to follow. He was going to follow up with his aha moment.
Aha moment. Aha moment.
I'm going to give you the best I got here. So I've been at the same school my entire coaching career, and we started it. And I'm going to lay this out as simply as I can, as quick as I can. I know you guys are on a schedule.
Not really. We make it up as we go.
You got time, Paul. You got time.
We're a charter school, and we focus on what's called the classical education. Our kids learn Latin and Paideia and logic and stuff. These kids are brilliant stuff that I can never do as a high school kid. If they ask me for help on their homework, I have to make up some kind of excuse. These kids are great. With that said, the culture at our school is, these kids, they go to class, they're worn out when they get back because, they're getting taught college lectures, especially the upperclassmen. And so, what we're battling here in the athletic program is we're trying to mold this culture and not take over necessarily, versus the academics, but just kind of nudge our way in where we're fitting, comfortably. And so it's been 6 or 7 years, and we finally, we've gathered the interest. We've had our successes, and we've had players move on to go play at other places. And I, recently they announced and actually just began building our extra facilities and an extra gym and another football field. And there's a real investment going on over here towards our athletic program. And it's not just basketball, obviously football and baseball and track and all those guys. The entire program has just been a super success, and it's great to see I would say all the hard work and the stuff that we had to deal with coming up, and just the administration and their willingness to support, and everybody's backing us in the donations we've received to make moves like this. And so that's kind of one of my successes is just recently. And I saw them break ground over in the open field next to our junior high school, and it's just like, wow, we've come a long way. So, as far as molding cultures go, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and it's really great to see everybody, start to buy in and back that.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, Roddy.
Yeah, what's that?
He's in Dallas.
He is.
Yeah. So
does that make him a Mavericks fan?
I think it does.
Paul, are you a Mavericks fan?
Mavericks fan, thick and thin. We are pretty thin right now.
you take it.
I'm going to ask because I have to now. Obviously, with the NBA going on, and you have a phenomenal owner with the Mavericks and Mark Cuban.
Wait, did you say phenomenal?
I think he's a fantastic owner.
Okay.
But
it was great until he said what he did about Durant and Westbrook. We didn't like that. But everything else has been fantastic.
Well, how do you feel about him openly admitting to tanking so that he can rebuild his team?
That's a tough one right there.
I'm hearing crickets.
I hear crickets.
I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't crossing my fingers, checking the box score every night, hoping we lost.
Wow.
It's just one of those things, you see teams go through it for stretches of 6 to 8 years, like those Atlanta Hawks teams, for example, with like Joe Johnson and Josh Smith and Al Horford, and they're just stuck in this first round, Eastern Conference first round mediocrity, and I'm like, that's just something you want to try to avoid at all costs. Like, you want to be at the bottom or you want to be at the top, and fans might argue, they're selling tickets and they're keeping interest up with, competitive playoff series and decent teams. But, I mean, what are you doing it for at the professional level if you're not really striving to win the whole thing and compete at the highest level?
Well, Dallas hopefully will eventually return to supremacy in the West, but I think they've got to go over Golden State and Houston. But obviously we're going to get ready for Act 2, the state of the Cavs. Let me ask you, Paul, being a Mavericks fan, do you like what you see with the Cavs?
I think that the trade that they made, albeit bold, and something that you would see more in like a video game, is definitely working out. I think they look, everyone's younger and more athletic. But that's exactly what it is. You've kind of got like this feel with LeBron, like when he was playing with IC briefly for the few weeks they played together, and Crowder and the other guys they had brought over. It was just kind of like we're going through the motions, and yeah, we should be good enough to get all the way through, but we'll see what happens. And then you see them start to struggle, and you make this move, and everyone's just kind of energized. I mean, I don't know. I don't have stats in front of me or anything. Like, I don't know what y'all's record is coming out, but I know they're passing the eye test for sure. The team looks like they're playing with a lot of energy, and LeBron looks hype every time I see him on SportsCenter, at least. So it's got to be a big thumbs up on the trade for sure.
We're excited, and the biggest part of that trade for me was getting Larry Nance Jr. over here because we know Dad. we know Dad. We know him personally. We know him as a player, right? So I mean, it's for us having that little extra oomph and that little extra bloodline in house is fantastic for us. So, hey, Matthew, we really appreciate you being on, and your thoughts have been fantastic. Both Grandma and Grandpa are both watching right now, so they're excited to hear what you had to say, and I'm sure they look forward to talking to you off air. But thank you so much for being on, and we really appreciate it. And any last words that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I love you, Grandma. Love you, Grandpa. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you take care now. Good luck this season.
Thanks, Paul.
Family. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good kid, man.
Seemed like it.
It's one of those when you're separated by distance, you watch people grow up from afar, and it's you just don't see him much, but at the same time he's grown into a man, right? And he's got a family now, and he's doing his thing.
You cut him off. I was going to ask one more question.
What was the question?
I was going to see if he would give us some dirt on Hank.
Oh, no.
Some family dirt, maybe.
There's no family dirt on me.
Oh, yeah, right.
All right, so
right.
Hey, Kate. Why is Kate laughing?
Because Kate knows.
All right, here we go with the State of the Cavs Act 2, and here we go with the NBA trade deadline. I'm going to shut up and let Roddy talk.
Hey, Scott, say something real fast.
Yeah.
Say again.
What? Oh, hell. My mic's off.
He has been turned off.
Go.
Moon Man, thank you. All right, obviously the NBA trade deadline came and went. I, like many, were very interested to see if the Cavs would be buyers or sellers based on their trend. I got to be honest, when I actually had worked that day, did not hear anything with the trades until my partner in crime over here actually sent me a text and asked me how did I feel. And I had to grab my phone and look real quick, and my mind was completely blown.
Is that me?
That would be you. That would be you. So obviously, would the Cavs deal that very, very famous, popular Brooklyn #1 pick? Well, they didn't. We had a lot of players that were available. The Cavs were definitely all in. They want to get back to the NBA Finals. They want to defeat that team out west, whether it's the Rockets or the Warriors. And by golly, I think they are on their way. Kobe Altman, GM of the year.
I got no problem with that.
GM of the year.
I got no problem with that.
He took this he took this team to the very next level. So obviously the very first trade that he made, he sent our beloved Channing Frye.
I miss him.
I will miss Channing Frye.
That's okay though.
And IT3, or the player formerly known as IT3. And our Cavs' first round pick of 2018 that is heavily protected. Basically what that means is if it's really good pick, we don't have to send it to him. We can keep it. And then the Cavs obviously got back Jordan Clarkson and Revere's own Larry Nance Jr. I believe that my mic has disappeared. Oh, I'm good? Oh, that's the equipment? It's my headphones. Well, that's okay.
Go on.
Wow. Wow. Anyway,
connector.
it's a connector. That's okay, though. So the Cavs get Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. I'm telling you what.
Double tap.
Double tap.
Double tap. Double tap. He set the world on fire.
Do you know who I blame for the double tap?
Twitter just went, what? Who?
DJ Khaled. Did he not give him like an 8 on that dunk?
The donut dunker?
Anyway.
What's he doing judging a dunk contest?
Yeah,
He's always been dunking ever his donuts. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Stop it.
Obviously. So anyway, we get those two. Then the Cavs, they're not done. They pull off this mammoth three-team trade, but guess what? It almost didn't happen.
Why is that?
We almost did not get George Hill and Rodney Hood.
How so?
Well, the Cavs have been working with the Kings, and they needed a third team. Well, they had worked out the trade with the Kings and then added the Jazz, but the Kings then changed the deal and wanted us to take on some no-name center and his money, and it became a huge issue to the point where the Cavs had to go back to the drawing board, throw in some cash, and with 15, 20 minutes to spare, the trade was finally official. And we get...
You got insider information.
I did some research, sir.
Okay, good.
I do some research. George Hill and Rodney Hood come to Cleveland. We say goodbye to Iman Shumpert. I'm going to miss the flat top. I'm not going to lie.
I did like him.
Was the flat top still here?
I don't know. I don't...
4 years ago.
He'd been sitting on the bench for quite a while.
I did like him. I did like him.
And then we say goodbye to Derrick Rose, which I wish that kid nothing but the best of luck. He's gotten the short end of the stick being injured.
No, that's IT.
No.
You said
Derek.
You said short end of the stick.
Uh-huh.
You said short.
Boo. Wow. Derek Rose is a former
My bad.
NBA MVP.
My bad. I made
And obviously since the trade deadline he's been released, so he'll catch on somewhere.
I made
And
Big D laugh.
well,
Got him.
yeah.
All right.
I'm not sad to see Jay Crowder go.
I am not good at Twitter. I'm really not good at Twitter.
Neither am I.
But I had a good tweet.
Okay.
I think it was Chris Fedor or one of those guys. One of those Cleveland guys was griping about IT and Crowder, and it was like fill in the blank. When we traded for IT and Crowder, we got, and my answer was Big Chuck of Little John.
Wow.
And that went, it like tweeted everywhere.
That's
like,
fantastic.
I made a good tweet. So
it is.
All right. Anyway,
Obviously, we say goodbye to Jay Crowder, which I wasn't really impressed when he was here.
listen, no,
Whoa! Did I hit a nerve?
Listen.
Wow!
With Crowder, I was so annoyed because when he was in Boston, he was literally a beast. Like he would grab like 10 rebounds a game and like knock people all over the place and punch them in the mouth. And then he comes here and he was what? Why am I getting? What do you want?
Moon Man has something to say. Hold on.
Looks like Ron just joined. Listen, I was annoyed with Crowder. What is he saying? BRAD. Oh, don't give me Brad Stevens. Crowder was a monster, and then we get him, and he's like not. He was the no. I'm not worried about IT. The big Crowder was a big one. Crowder was a big one for me because IT can score, but Crowder was a defender who was a monster. All right, well, I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
And then the other trade that kind of made me very sad was seeing we no longer have peanut butter and jelly together anymore. We send Dwayne Wade back home to Miami so that he can finish what he started, retire in Miami, and I'm sure Gabrielle Union is happy to get out of the Cleveland winter.
There's rumors
of
that D Wade is what caused all the ruckus in the locker room.
Woo!
And he was prompting IT like, hey, bro, what about K-Love? Why is he out? There's all kinds of stuff, okay?
Leave it to you to start another rumor.
No, stop it. That's everywhere.
Okay.
That's everywhere.
But what I will say, the wonderful fun fact, and I brought this up to you.
The thing is, he's, 85 years old, but he played good while he was
Dwayne
here.
Wade. He played well.
I called him Glue Factory Wade until he got here, and then he was here. What's going on out there? We got kids running across the front yard.
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
Entertaining. But here's the fun fact, and you and I talked about this off air.
No skeletons.
No skeletons.
Okay.
The Cavs get back a second-round pick.
Yes.
For Dwayne Wade.
What year?
2024.
Who's going to be?
Who's in 8th grade right now, and in 2024 would be eligible for the NBA?
Who's going to be 19? What?
Where's your sticker?
Why? Why am I zipping it?
Moving on.
Why are we moving on?
Moving on.
Why?
Moving on.
Okay.
Can I not say who?
Huh?
People can do the math on their own.
People can do the math
let them
on
do
their
the
own.
math.
All right.
Folks, think about it.
Somebody
that his kids not be talked about on sports radio.
Somebody is
okay.
Somebody is
Folks, think about it.
Considering that he's going to be on this show to announce his.
Wow. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, so obviously, quick recap: the Cavs trade away 1 first-round pick, 6 players, get 4 in return. They take on $28 million of salary to bring a championship to Cleveland.
So next year, correct me if I'm wrong. How much are we paying in salary tax?
A lot.
It's like it's like 150.
What's the Cavs logo? Or the motto?
Just spend it, Will.
No. What's the Cavs motto?
All for one?
All in.
All in. Okay. All right, boss.
Oh.
Boss said it was okay.
Whoa.
All right.
So the team gets much better defensively.
Payroll is going to be $300 million.
They get well. No,
assuming he
there's
comes back.
one player in particular that I thought was interesting. Rodney Hood. He's under contract for $18 million this year.
He's only making $1 million.
Next year, he's only got $1 million guaranteed. $1 million. That's it. If they don't want him next year, $1 million.
Sum up the trade. We're running out of time.
We're running out of time. We got
Time.
We get more defensive.
Younger, more role players, better suited to match up against those teams out west.
Why is Satan?
Satan is here.
Why is Satan telling us about that?
But I have one last question.
Yes. What's the question?
Will it be enough?
I can't take you seriously.
Will it be enough?
All right. Good, next.
That's my question.
No,
Will it be
more,
enough?
There's more here on the script. That's what I said.
Obviously, we have no commitment from LeBron.
He'll come in on the show.
Did we pave the way for him to leave?
He will come in on our show.
We have won 4 straight.
Hey, mark my words. I'm calling it now. LeBron is going to announce whether he's staying or leaving on 330 to go. Duh. It only makes sense. It's 330. Hello. Start contacting his people.
There you go.
He's going to come to my house quietly without anybody knowing, and we're going to be live on the air right here, and he's going to announce this is what I'm doing.
That would be fantastic.
I'm just telling. We've already started the ball rolling with that.
Well, all I can say is they've won 4 straight. They look great. Only time will tell. Let's make it to the finals. Let's bring a championship home again.
What's nice is we went from being the oldest team in the NBA to the longest and fastest team in the NBA.
What?
Yeah.
Now, how will that we got 2 teams we're worried about, and it ain't in the East.
No.
That's the Rockets and the Warriors. Okay. How do we equate dealing and matching up with both of them?
We just did.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying I already made the show. All of us, this whole crew is going to be covering.
We're going downtown Cleveland,
the finals
folks.
on Game 3.
We're going
gonna be
downtown.
on East 4th Street. I'm calling it now.
We will be downtown.
Live. We'll bring our handy dandy call screener, and we will even buy her drinks to be happy. All right.
Whoa.
We will bring Kate. Okay.
Yep.
We'll bring the families down.
Yep, we will.
We're going to walk down East 4th. We're going to talk to people. We're going to interview people, because by that point, after the shows we're about to have, we're going to be kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to touch the trophy. That's all I ask.
Once again, folks, we've had a lot of fun spending time with you here tonight. We hope our discussion was insightful and helpful. We are also very excited to see where the Cavs go from here. Hey, tune in next week where we're going to tackle the issues surrounding pet adoption and purchase in the 330. And there's a really good chance there's going to be some fur babies up for adoption live in studio.
You mean Roddy can take a pet home?
Roddy can take a pet home.
Yes.
But the rule is that none can stay. Kate, none can stay.
Uh-oh.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on the Halloween debacle where we ended up with a cat.
Wrong, sir.
Folks,
Wrong.
Until then, don't know where I'm going, but there ain't no sense in being late. Say goodnight, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
This podcast is a copyright of Moon Garden Media Limited.
Oh, this a lot of peanut butter.